I see Mark Oliver just joined in.
All right. I'll make sure we unmute him if he's muted. Hey, Mark. I think his audio is still. Make sure we. All right, just one more second, one more thing at the check, and I think we'll be going smooth then.
Okay.
Kind of amazing that old guys like us can do this.
Yeah, you guys are doing great. All right, it looks like everything's working right now on YouTube, so that is good to see.
Okay, you know what I'm going to suggest, I'm assuming Jeff can hear us. I'm going to suggest you do bring him in to the other group, just so he can see what the other group is like then too.
Okay, give me 1 second here.
Okay.
So everyone is aware, we have 6 attendees right now watching. Hey, Jeff Warchall, can you hear us? Hey, Jeff Warchall, can you hear us? So it looks like Jeff's unmuted and he is in our panelist side of the meeting here. So hopefully he's seeing everything. It just, depending on how he's connected, he may have not selected audio to be able to talk back to us. So that's might be why we're not.
All right.
He is shown in there, and if his stuff turns on, we will hear it. Right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to unmute all of the commissioners, since I think we're going to start here. So give me 1 second just to get everyone unmuted. So Jeremy, I unmuted you, and Mark Oliver, I unmuted you. Can you hear us, Mark?
I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. So it looks like we're all set right now. Wanna run with this? Ready, Mayor?
So you're ready. Okay. I'm going to call the Plan Commission meeting to order. Don't even know what day of the week it is. Thursday, April 2nd, 2020 at 6:06 p.m. And now he's going to get a flag up here. And so if you'll see a flag on the video thing. We're going to all stand and do the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to
and the republic for which it stands, one nation, individual, liberty and justice for all.
Okay. All right. Doing what Adam's doing at the moment, but I told him I wanted to let everybody know this is a light agenda. So before I do roll call or have the roll call done, I just want to let everybody know we chose to do this with a light agenda so that we could kind of test the whole system and make sure everything worked good before we used it on an agenda that really had some very important, timely manner. So with that, roll call, please.
Commissioner Graf. Here. Commissioner Oliver.
Here.
Alderman Kubaki. Here. Mayor Cheverati.
Here.
Commissioner Jacques.
Here.
Commissioner Buckmaster is absent. Commissioner Bartlett.
Here.
Planner Trezgutowski.
Here.
Okay, thank you. We have a quorum. And then we need statement of public notice.
The agenda was posted and distributed to all news media requesting notification in accordance with the open meeting laws on Tuesday, March 31st.
Thanks, Aaron. And then approval of the minutes. We need a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
And did we get who that is? Do you need me to repeat any of that?
The second.
Dave
Okay.
Graff.
Okay. Any discussion on the minutes? So we have to do we have to do a roll call vote, you said?
I think it's easiest. Otherwise, everyone only lets one person talk at a time. So
Okay, Commissioner Graff,
Aye.
Commissioner Oliver,
Aye.
Alderman Kubaki, Mayor Chevrati,
Aye.
Commissioner Jocks,
Aye.
Commissioner Bartlett.
Aye.
Okay, the minutes are approved unanimously. And then we have consent business.
Resolution PC 019-2020, approval of a building site and operation plan amendment for Lucky's at the Lodge along Janesville Road. And then resolution PC 020-2020, approval of a 2-lot certified survey map for Brian and Gail James on Harvest Court.
Move to approve.
Who is the second?
Kevin,
Thank you. So Jerry Jocks and Kevin Kubaki, motion and second. Any discussion on those? Okay, roll call vote.
Commissioner Graff,
Aye.
Commissioner Oliver,
Aye.
Alderman Kubaki, Mayor Chevrati,
Aye.
Commissioner Jocks,
Aye.
Commissioner Bartlett.
Aye.
Okay, the consent agenda items are approved unanimously. We'll move on to new business. Resolution PC 23-2020, recommendation to Common Council to rezone a property from A1 Agricultural District to RC1 Country Residence District for Pagarl LLP along Crowbar Drive. We need a motion.
Move to approve.
Kevin, second?
Yes.
And Jocks made the motion. Any discussion, or I should say, Adam, anything you want to say on that?
I'll just quickly throw up the proposal. So this is based upon a rezoning, like we said. As the Plan Commission is probably well aware, rezonings normally have a public hearing in front of council first, Plan Commission recommendation second, and Common Council approval is a third step. There have been a handful of times in the past, maybe happens once a year because of like meeting schedules or long months, or in this case, weird delays that we've never planned on. We can and have done the Plan Commission recommendation first is what we're doing here today. We still will have the public hearing probably in May. That will be properly noticed. If there would be any comments at the public hearing for this and our next item that would be considered questionable, contentious, negative, anything that the Plan Commission could possibly have a concern about, and it's not positive, we can and will send this back to the Plan Commission. The reason we do it this way, though, is it helps the development keep moving. And with the last council public hearings being canceled because of this unexpected virus, they have to be reheld. And this just helps them not lose more ground and try to keep pace with their development. So I think this really helps them out. So that you'll notice that with this rezoning as well as the next, but nothing else really unique other than the document you see being shared is the plan that they hope to do. If this all goes through. Other than that, really nothing too unique here. They're asking for a rezoning to A1 district, and the proposal does meet the comprehensive plan land use requirements. They do a minimum size, which they're proposing to do so, but that would be it.
Okay, thanks, Adam. Does anyone have any other questions on this? Okay, then a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Graff,
Aye.
Commissioner Oliver,
Aye.
Alderman Kubaki, Mayor Chevrati,
Aye.
Commissioner Jocks,
Aye.
Commissioner Bartlett.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Resolution 23 is approved unanimously. And then we have resolution PC 24, 2020, approval of building site and operation plan amendment and recommendation to the common council for a zoning amendment to PD 42 for the Will Rose Apartments along Janesville Road. We
Move
have-
to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
And Adam, you want to bring us up to speed?
Thank you. I'm going to pull up just one of the renderings that they're proposing. So as you remember, this development known as Will Rose was two larger apartment buildings, 50 unit, 40 unit, known respectively as building 1 and building 2. A little bit ago, the developer decided to make a few changes. And what they did is they actually went through a non-substantial change process, which was approved to change it from 51, which is under construction as we speak, and 39 units in the second building. What they decided to do after looking at market conditions, they're already starting to think about building number 2. They realized a lot higher demand for 1 unit, 1 bedroom units than they originally thought. So before they start doing the final building plans for building 2, they wanted to be proactive and count for the 1 bedroom footprints. Well, 1 bedrooms are typically smaller, hence they can get more in the building. So what this rezoning is doing is it's doing 2 simple things from a rezoning side. First one is it's taking what are 39 units in the 1 building and going up to 45 in that building. So it's additional units, and they're also asking for building 2 setback to be reduced from 40-foot setback to a 30-foot setback. The first building was already granted as part of a rezoning a 30-foot setback, so now the buildings will actually be consistent. They didn't ask for the setback before because they didn't really need it. Now they're saying, hey, do the 30-foot setback instead of the 40, which matches the other building. It allows them for additional parking, which then allows them to meet the parking needs for these additional units. So the additional units they're adding, there is ample indoor and outdoor parking added to facilitate that. So that was the biggest concern staff had. Now, as part of this too, there's a slight footprint change to the building. So the building site and operation plan part of this approval ties to that. So they are changing the footprint very, very slightly. And a lot of it to just accommodate these different unit layouts. Most of the amendments, the changes were kind of done to the northern corner of the building, which, like I said, once again, allows them with that 30-foot setback to have additional parking that meets all the requirements. So the way it worked is their original plan, which, the 90 units was 90 units are what are allowed by right without any kind of bonus. Now, via plan commission and council approval, a 10% up to a 10% density bonus can be allowed for plan development zonings like this one. They didn't originally ask for that bonus, but because of this market change and not to have wasted space in the buildings, they are asking for these additional units, like I said, going from the, additional 1 bedrooms. With these,
I apologize. You cut out a little bit there on
Okay.
that last part.
So the biggest thing that we're talking about here is they're asking for these additional units because of these 1 bedrooms being more highly market driven by the market, what they're seeing before they start building this building. And the plan development allows them to ask for up to a 10% density bonus. So Common Council has to weigh in on this also. What they're asking for is about 6 or 7% bonus. They're not asking to go to the full 10% bonus that
Okay.
they can ask for, but they are asking for a few more density bonus increase. As far as looking at the building, as a passerby would look at this building and looking at the exterior elevations, no one really to the naked eye would ever really notice the increase in realistically, because the changes they're making to the building are so minute. I don't think most people would have ever caught them if we didn't even know about it, to be realistic. And when we look at the plans, the only elevation that really changes a little bit more is the elevation I have on the screen right now, which would be the Janesville Road side. We originally had on the upper level a little recessed area where they had a small community room. It wasn't a large communal space; it was a very small space. And the building stepped back a little bit there. What they're asking now is to keep those all 3 floors there the same, rather than have the top unit step back, because they are placing additional 1 bedrooms there. That is the only significant architectural change. They are adding a few other things that they learned from construction. The first building either aren't, physically possible to construct in the second building, and they're also actually doing a bunch of architectural improvements on the second building that will help match the first one even better. So overall, staff definitely thinks that these changes, when you look at the aesthetics and the architecture, are a fine change. I wouldn't call it a bait and switch like we've had in some other projects. I think they put a lot of effort into making sure that the slight modifications are still very cohesive and work well, and it will tie the buildings really nice together. The real big question I think that's out there for maybe the plan commission members and eventually council will be the idea of, are they okay with that increase in density bonus instead of having, you know, 90 units, you know, going with the increase in units that they're asking from the 39 to the 45. So it's addition of a total of 5 extra units.
Yeah, and Adam, if I can jump in, actually for all the years I've been involved, I don't know why years ago it changed, because really the council is the one that has to say, even per statute and everything, on rezoning and things like that. So we're supposed to, plan commission, really look more at the overall building appearance. So I'm just a firm believer council has to at least have their opportunity to weigh in on it.
Yeah, you are correct. They definitely will. This is just a recommendation. It's a 2-part recommendation. The first part is, do we recommend the zoning change? And the second part to that is, do we recommend the slight architectural changes and the parking changes? Those are the things. When it goes to council, the only thing council will be looking at, they won't be looking at the site stuff. They'll only be looking at the density and setback stuff.
Are there any questions?
I do. One of my concerns with adding these 6 additional units is most likely going to be 2 people living in that. And with the available parking, they're asking for a 10-foot setback. Most parking stalls are 19-foot deep, so I don't know where the additional parking is coming from with the additional 10-foot setback, unless you're going deeper into the wetlands area. So you could potentially be adding 12 additional parking stalls. How many are they accounting for?
So let's see here. They added, I'm just going to put my numbers here, and I can put the site plan too. By shifting the building forward, by kind of boxing out the northern corner, which wasn't as boxed out before, by boxing out the corner, they gain a couple stalls underground here, and I can get some totals here for you real quick.
It's 3 enclosed stalls and 11 surface.
Kevin, you got to back up. We can't hear you.
So there's 3 enclosed stalls that I do and 11 surface parking areas that I move.
Yeah, and by shifting the building like they're doing, what it does is that allows more building on the backside. There was a little bit of space on the backside already that wasn't kind of fully utilized for parking, that they're able to maximize a little bit more. And by shifting this building forward, they are right up to a 15-foot setback, which they're allowed to be. You know, they're not allowed to get closer than that, which is painful for everyone else. But as part of that, it allowed them to kind of just extend and elongate the parking a little bit. So they were able to add, like I said, surface stalls in addition to the underground. Most of the gained parking is above ground, and they are adding, like I said, some underground. But you know, I think it's like 1 per unit or something is what was added underground. But when it comes to the overall parking percentage from what they had suggested before to what they're suggesting now, the parking ratio is almost exactly the same. I think the current approval is 2.2 stalls per unit, and the new revised parking is 2.28. So you could technically argue they're adding more parking per ratio when you look at the total breakdown. So you know, they're saying total number of enclosed stalls will be 48 and total surface is 55, and that's up from 45 inside and 43 outside. So the bulk of the gain was on the exterior parking.
Okay, and I'm trying to hear everything that's going on, but you're breaking up. I don't know if everybody having the same problem, but I'm missing a lot of the words you're saying, but I'm just trying to read your lips.
They're actually picking up just a tad more parking space is what he's saying.
Right, and what about guest parking? Where is that accounted for?
With this development, we didn't, the original review by Plan Commission and Council didn't look at guest parking versus unit parking. We just looked at a total parking count. And what they kind of did originally, and this was something the developer proposed, They proposed, based upon past projects they've done that were similar in nature, they kind of showed us what kind of parking demands they needed at those units based upon the unit counts and unit sizes and things like that. And this, in their presentation, shows that there's 2.28 units, parking, per unit, which is more than they have in all their other projects. And that's just based upon the actual need they've seen based on the unit counts. Now, don't get me wrong, our plan commission can decide whatever they feel is adequate. But, you know, out of those stalls, they added, that would, when you look at the total numbers, that means that for every stall in this part of the development, there are at least 2 parking stalls. And then, you know, basically a third of a stall for every unit that would in theory be for guests. And if there are some 2 bedrooms that are only, 1 bedrooms that are only used by 1 person, then that inherently leads some guest stalls also.
Okay.
Okay, are there any other questions?
Adam, just explain to me what it means by a bonus. I'm not sure if I totally understood what they had to give up to get the bonus.
Yeah, it's something where the, you know, ultimately the council, as the mayor said, makes that final call. But what they're supposed to be looking at is kind of the overall benefit, the overall idea of, you know, is this overall development, because, you know, planned developments are utilized when there's unique developments anyway. You know, like for example, these buildings are, normal zoning code don't allow 40 units in a building or 50 units in a building. Planned development does. There's unique projects. And when there's a unique project, kind of the question is if they feel that this is for kind of just the good of the city or good of the project, the council in the end is the final call to say, hey, do we want to give them that little extra 10% to make a project feasible? That's strictly up to the council if they want to do it. Some projects they have, some they haven't. We've had some developments where they've said, okay, we're going to give you half of the possible bonus. And like I said, 10% can be given potentially. They've asked for, I think it's 7%, if my number's right.
So truly discretionary.
Yeah. It really is. From the council. The council does make the final call on that for sure.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, then I think we can take a roll call vote for the recommendation for the,
Okay, Commissioner Graff,
Aye.
Commissioner Oliver,
All right.
Alderman Kubaki,
Aye.
Mayor Chiaveretti,
aye.
Commissioner Jock,
Aye.
Commissioner Bartlett,
Aye.
Okay, that was approved unanimously. Then we have resolution PC 25/2020, approval of a building site and operation plan for a 2-family residential structure located on lot 16 of Northfield Green subdivision.
Move to approve.
I'll
Mark
second.
Oliver, the second.
No.
Thanks, Mark, for announcing yourself.
You bet.
Okay, Adam.
All right, thank you, Mayor. This is a pretty standard review. Northfield Green are the condos that are on individual duplex or condo type lots that are located just west of Moreland Road, south of Janesville Road, kind of across from the Bossy Market and by the Walgreens and Taco Bell and such over there. The way these work is because they're part of the Moreland Corridor South Design Guide, they need plan commission review to make sure that the architecture is following a rough style of prairie or craftsman style architecture. A lot of these builders that have been in here bought a lot of the lots, and built a lot of the lots. And so a lot of times we compare building to building when it comes to percentages. And if projects have had upgraded building materials or more example, better characteristics of prairie craftsman, maybe more than some other buildings, we've allowed some masonry percentages to be reduced. What we did in this case, when Aaron and I did the review, we really looked to kind of see how do these buildings compare to the other buildings from a masonry percentage and character. And what we found, the last couple of buildings were approved, you could probably make a case that this is probably the nicest of the buildings. It has more masonry usage on portions of the building. It has a lot of,
Somebody fall off their chair?
Move him my phone fell. I apologize.
But this is pretty typical for the other buildings we've seen out here. Like I said, the architecture looks nice. Only thing we have as a contingency is that they upgrade some landscaping in the rear yard when they submit their building permit, because the back does face Janesville Road. We just thought that should be a little more dominant with landscaping on the back of the building. But other than that, we're recommending approval. And if anybody wants to see, I can put up the drawings on the screen.
Okay, I'm looking at them on my, so I'm good. I just don't know if anybody else wants to see them. Are there any, thank you, Mark. Are there any questions? Pretty straightforward. Okay, with that, roll call vote.
Commissioner Graff,
Aye.
Commissioner Oliver,
All right,
Alderman Kubaki,
Aye.
Chair Moretti,
Aye.
Commissioner Jocks,
Aye.
Commissioner Bartlett,
Aye.
approved unanimously.
Okay, it is approved unanimously. Thank you. That takes us to miscellaneous business. We have an annual review discussion, discuss some further restrictions. Oh yeah, penalties of habitual offenders of building site and operation plans, plan annual reviews. If you recall, this came up at the last meeting, and I did talk to our attorney, but also talked to Adam. He kind of directed me back. There are some measures, and I'm just going to let Adam take it from here.
Yeah, so, this is more just an open discussion right now to kind of see what kind of mechanisms, we might want to see for these annual reviews. And I think the problem, I was there, I apologize, I was sick, but, from what Aaron advised me and listening to the minutes, was the idea of some of these violators that are chronically in violation, should they be held to the fire a little more? And, please step in, anyone, different opinions. But, I think that was kind of the question is, do we check on them more often, even if it's not a formal plan commission review, maybe just a staff review? Do we cite them sooner? Do we maybe check on them 3 times, 4 times a year randomly as a surprise? And if they're in violation, cite them right away to try to keep them more accountable all year round. I mean, I'm open to ideas. I think it probably doesn't always have to come to the plan commission rather than fill an agenda with unnecessary stuff. It could very easily be just, hey, staff, check properties A, B, and C in 3 or 4 times a year, pick the months you want. And we can then randomly, without being announced, go to those sites, check the site. And if they're not in compliance, immediately cite them. Doesn't mean they're going to be subject to a huge fine, but at least it's going to hold them accountable. And if they do get 1 or 2 even smaller fines, and that's the fines really up to the judge and the attorney, but if they would end up getting fines, that might teach them, for lack of a better term, or encourage them, maybe is a better way to put it, to not violate, other than the one day we check them for compliance.
Yeah, so the bottom line is where the real teeth are is following through on fines. And so if that's a direction, that the commissioners want to do, you don't have to decide it today. It could come back more formal. I don't know. Adam can tell me what direction he would need, but that is really where the teeth are, because I know that's what you've been asking for. And I think it just comes down to they get fined. Every time you hit somebody's wallet, that's usually when they think twice about what they're going to do.
I agree 100%. I think if it's a quarterly or semi-annual check, and if there is a penalty on it, they're going to be thinking twice. Well, I got until next June, nobody's going to look at me. I'm going to break the law until I get caught again. Well, all of a sudden it's a surprise visit, on a quarterly or semi-annual review. I think it's going to make them a lot more aware and follow the rules they're supposed to be following.
Yeah.
So
I as well like the idea of periodic reviews unannounced for those individual people. I think that'll correct the problem.
The question, because I don't think we don't really do resolutions kind of stuff. So, I mean, it could be as simple as how many times a year do you want to, every 3 months, every 4 months, every 6 months, you could just let us know. And if you trust Aaron and I, assuming you do, we can kind of just, put them on our calendar, and we can set automatic reminders for whatever time period you guys agree upon. And if you guys agree that the policy then is, if they're not in compliance, don't give them 5 days to fix it, because they'll fix it. We know that. It's just, but on the 6th day, it's going to be bad again. So maybe we just cite them and say, hey, you're cited. Here's your court date. And when you're in compliance, we'll let you know we'll drop it and just be aware, we're gonna come back again in another 3 or 4 months. And the only reason we're doing this is because of the chronic violators. Maybe our policy is, if when we do their annual review, if the property looks great, maybe we don't do anything for the next year. But if they're found in violation at their annual review, that automatically puts them in the 3 or 4 month, whatever time period you guys want to pick.
I like that idea.
So I think if that's the way we're gonna go, I think question 1 would be, what duration would be the first question?
My recommendation would be quarterly. And what if for the first year, if it tends to solve some of the problems, then you go to semi-annual.
Yeah, okay. And then my only question then is, and then are we okay with ideas if if they're not in compliance, do they get cited immediately?
Yes.
Agreed.
The last topic probably is, since, I think it's only fair to let these businesses know this is, the policy now. That's kind of what we end up doing with this. Do you want staff to send a letter to everyone that has an annual review, just making them aware of this now? Or do we want to wait to the next cycle when they actually see the plan commission to then make them aware? It's basically, how soon do we want to implement this?
Well, I don't think there's any reason you wouldn't want to give them some advance warning, recognizing that we're getting more rigid on our inspections. No surprises.
I agree with that. It's a matter of, do we give the notice and then we start doing it right away, saying, hey, we're going to come out in the next quarter sometime, or do we wait till their next plan commission review and then start it? We let them know either way. It's just a question when we start it.
Mm.
Well, if people have habitually violated, I think we should start it away.
Okay. Starting it right away.
Right away.
Okay. Well,
I agree.
Yeah.
okay. Well, what we can do is, over the next couple of weeks, trying to find the new norm here with everything, Aaron and I can put together a list. We have a list, but we'll just kind of get it a little more formalized here. And what we'll do is, maybe anyone, even if they haven't been a past violator, we're going to give everyone equal notice. Anyone that's on our annual review list, we'll just get we'll make it a very standard letter. Everyone gets exactly the same, and letting them know that we will be doing quarterly reviews if they have either a history based upon the last plan commission review, or going forward, if when we do their annual review, there is violations, we will pick up this, we're not going to just check every property 4 times a year. We're going to only check the ones that had a bad issue as of last meeting and going forward, or last review. Does that make sense?
It does.
Adam, I think that we should get this into a motion and a second, everything, so that it's clear.
Okay.
So, Kevin, did you want to make the motion that we started immediately?
I'll make that motion.
So is that clear enough? Started immediately what? The quarterly reviews with fines. Am I correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Is there a second to that?
I'll
Mark
second.
Oliver seconds.
Okay, I think Jerry was first.
You got it.
Doesn't matter.
No, I'm just going with her first. Okay, and then is
Can I interject for just a second? Just to be sure, that motion is also clarifying that this is only if they've had.
correct. If they're
Okay.
habitual,
Last year.
Yes.
correct. If they're
Okay,
just,
if that's amended to the motion, I will vote in favor of it. If it isn't amended to the motion that was proposed, I won't vote for it, because I don't want it to be heavy-handed government, so.
well, I'll repeat it then. I think we can, because it's under miscellaneous, we can say that if Kevin's agreeable, the motion is that it starts right away, quarterly basis, and fines, and the letter goes out to those that have been habitual violators. Is that clear? Are you good with that, Jeremy?
I want to be sure that make sure we're on the same page. That
Okay.
everyone
And
will get
then-
an initial warning letter, hey, heads up, we could be doing this, if and only if you have a track record of prior violations. Does that make sense, right?
Right.
Okay.
And then
And Adam,
Jerry,
it's really not a warning letter. It's an acknowledgement letter of what the process is going to be. And the habitual ones are going to be fined.
Yep.
Is
And we'll make it
what we're
very
looking
clear
for.
that we'll make it very clear that if they've had a positive track record, that we appreciate that, and they will not be subject to other additional inspections.
Perfect.
and Jerry, agreeable to that with your second, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I just want to make clear so it's all on record. Okay, is there any more discussion on this? I guess we need do we need a roll call or can we just do the ayes and the nays?
Good, that's fine.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? None. It is approved unanimously. And there is nothing else, so is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Dave Graff, second.
Thank you very much. And thanks for test piloting our little video meeting. So thank you all. I think it went okay, a few little glitches, but I'm sure that can be worked out in the future.
I'm just going to say, good job, Adam. I've seen worse on Channel 4 News.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
I've
Thanks,
been-
everyone, for being so flexible.
Yeah, I've been in a ton of these meetings in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah,
So the only
same here.
big thing I'd say is I highly recommend if you can to use your mute and unmute button, because the camera and the sound picks up from everybody, every little thing in the background, your pen dropping on the table, and
Yeah.
it jumps in ahead of the other person speaking sometimes. So just something to be aware of. But
Do we do, is it something that we do, Jay? Do we,
well, very your microphone is really challenging for some reason on your end, Kevin.
Yeah.
Do you want to try that again, Kevin?
Yeah, try it again.
Nope.
Oh yeah, you can
Worse.
control mute. If you mouse over your screen right now, there's a little blue button that'll come on in the corner. You can hit mute.
Yeah, the key is just making sure that we unmute when we're talking, and so everyone can hear the important things we all got to say. But yeah, thanks again, everyone, so much. This was, like I said, the mayor said, a little guinea pig trial here, and I think overall it worked pretty well considering these weird times we're in. So thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Well done. Good night, everybody.
Good night.